a cross-border criminal investigation.
He's a modern-day iteration of El Chapo Guzman.
The FBI and the RCMP team up to find a former Olympic snowboarder turned alleged crime kingpin. Costly contract. Alberta taxpayers on the hook for the company that provided lab services. And he depends on his voice for a living.
It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Facing a serious illness, he's still waiting for treatment.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. 2 Alberta men have been arrested by RCMP over their alleged connection to former Olympic snowboarder turned alleged drug trafficking kingpin Ryan Wedding. Tyson Fedor joins us live. And Tyson, one of those men is from Calgary.
Ian, 33-year-old Alistair Chapman was arrested yesterday by RCMP after a new indictment was unsealed by the U.S. Department of Justice that announced 10 suspects, including Chapman, as part of Operation Giant Slalom. Now, 7 of the 10 arrested are Canadian. Charges laid today include drug trafficking, murder, and witness tampering, although it's unclear what Chapman is charged with. Chapman was a former junior hockey player here in Alberta and notable Calgary drug kingpin, and he had previously faced numerous charges here in Alberta in 2018, including conspiracy, trafficking, and possession of drugs, but those charges were all stayed due to long court delays. 35-year-old Edmonton man Ahmad Nabil Zatoun was also arrested. Wedding is described by justice officials as extremely dangerous, violent, and wealthy. The DOJ plans to extradite the Canadians arrested to the U.S. to stand trial. Wedding has been linked to 4 murders in Ontario. He goes by several aliases such as Giant and Public Enemy. The FBI believe he's being protected by the Sinaloa cartel and is living in Mexico.
Do not get to be a drug kingpin and evade the law. Make no mistake about it. Ryan Wedding is a modern-day iteration of Pablo Escobar. He's a modern-day iteration of El Chapo Guzman. This Justice Department and this FBI will work with our Canadian counterparts and the government officials across the world to bring him to justice.
The reward for information leading to Wedding's arrest has increased from $10 million to $15 million U.S. That's about $21 million Canadian. Wedding remains on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Ian.
And that is quite an incentive. Thank you, Tyson. A 4th teenager has been arrested in the death of Carter Spivak Villeneuve. A 16-year-old boy was arrested yesterday and has been charged with first-degree murder. Carter was found dead in the 300 block of Abergale Drive Northeast around 1 a.m. on August 1st. Homicide detectives allege a group of teens were involved in some sort of dispute with Carter and had arranged to meet him that night. Earlier this month, 3 15-year-olds were charged with first-degree murder. One person has died after being hit by a vehicle this morning. Pagan Trail was closed in both directions for several hours from 84th Street to 100th Street southeast. The investigation continues, but police say the driver of the vehicle did remain on scene. There have now been 33 fatal collisions in our city in 2025, the most in the past 10 years. And emergency crews rushed to a southwest Calgary intersection after a pedestrian was struck by a pickup truck this morning. It happened at 51st Street and 35th Avenue just after 10 a.m. Firefighters and paramedics helped the victim on the pavement before loading the woman in her 20s into an ambulance for transport to hospital. EMS says she was in non-life-threatening condition. The police investigation continues. Alberta's Auditor General says a breakdown in oversight and procurement of the province's community lab services contract with Dynalife left taxpayers on the hook for $125 million. Mark Villani is outside a medical lab in southwest Calgary. And Mark, this report from Doug Wiley's office points to major discrepancies in how this deal was managed.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. The Auditor General's report cited that basic financial checks weren't done, important documents weren't kept, and risk assessments weren't made all the way from 2013 to 2023. All the while, patients, especially here in Calgary, were dealing with long lineups, long delays, as well as some errors when it came to their lab results that followed the Dynalife's collapse of its contract in less than a year. Now, Dynalife is a private company. They had been been providing lab services in Edmonton and northern Alberta for years. But in December of 2022, it agreed to a $4.8 billion contract with AHS to deliver lab services province-wide. Just 2 weeks before that deal went into effect, the company went insolvent. 8 months later, that deal was terminated altogether, which led to the province purchasing Dynalife at a cost of almost $100 million. Auditor General Doug Wiley says the province struggled to meet service standards and mismanaged staffing during the transition, which was supposed to be aimed at cutting costs in the first place. He's now recommending better procurement practices and clear record keeping so taxpayers can see how major decisions like this are made.
Findings in this examination demonstrate that the government did not follow its own procurement processes. And these are the processes that are designed to protect Albertans' interests. As you can imagine, when procurement, governance, and accountability systems break down, it's Albertans who pay the price.
Now, Alberta's opposition NDP says that the province lacked in its ability to research and made some costly decisions when it came to privatizing lab services. Meanwhile, Alberta Health Minister Adriana LaGrange still defending her decision to terminate Dynalife's contract back in 2023. She says that ever since that happened, there's been major improvements with the transition to Alberta Precision Labs. Ian.
Mark, thanks very much. The province is offering more details of its plan to let Alberta doctors work in both the public and private health systems simultaneously. Premier Danielle Smith laid out specifics of the dual practice surgery model in a video on social media today. Surgeons will soon be allowed to offer elective procedures paid for by patients or their insurance after they commit to a minimum number of publicly funded surgeries a year. The province says it's about cutting wait times and that eventual legislation will be broadened out so it's not just surgeons who have the flexibility. Health experts and providers are furious.
What's really, really critical here is it's not just doctors. So, I mean, obviously surgeons are one, but it's the anesthesiologists, which we already don't have enough of, would have to go over to that stream, but also nurses and the post-op, preoperative care. It takes an entire team to do this work, and it will create a grossly inequitable healthcare situation, and we're all very, very worried about it.
Critics predict the new system will not only limit access to care in the public system, it'll increase private costs. The bill will be introduced this session. Thousands of healthcare workers could be on the picket lines on Saturday morning. The Alberta Union of Provincial Employees serving strike notice after negotiations fell through with the province. Union members, which include licensed practical nurses and healthcare aides, voted 98% in favor of strike action earlier this month. They say while talks have not gone as they hoped, they are still open to negotiating.
We remain ready to return to the table. We remain committed to reaching a fair agreement. But make no mistake, our members will not back down from what is right, what is just, and what is necessary.
If nothing is resolved, workers would walk off the job at 8:30 a.m. Saturday. Major sticking points have been compensation for licensed practical nurses and a reduction of annual hours. The Alberta Teachers Association says it's standing with parents and students now that the province is using the notwithstanding clause for a second time in a matter of weeks. In October, teachers were forced to end their strike and go back to work. Now the province is using the notwithstanding clause again to override rights and bring in legislation that affects transgender kids. The Teachers Association says the UCP government's approach endangers the rights and freedoms of all Albertans.
The government needs to know that when they use things like the notwithstanding clause, it demoralizes people. It makes them second-class citizens in their province. And that is something that I'm not sure if government actually thinks about the emotional or the psychological impact that the use of these bills have on people.
Schilling says schools should be a safe space for all students, and by targeting transgender kids, the province is undermining their safety. Danielle, I tell you, last night I really did not enjoy the drive home. It was icy out there.
Yeah.
Fortunately, a lot of it melted today, right?
Yeah, we have had some melting. It's not extremely warm today, but it's warm enough that a lot of this has melted off. So that's some good news for us. well, for the roads anyway. All right, we're not looking at any sort of active weather for these next 24 hours. We're done that, and it's pretty quiet. At this time yesterday, we were sitting at the freezing mark, and now we're sitting at 3. So a little bit of a warm up in temperature. All right, when we look at those next 24 hours, your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit fifthAvVW.com. And wind chill does build in once again tonight. Overnight, it will feel more like -7, and tomorrow morning when off to work and school will feel closer to -8. There will be some fog patches out there as well, and just keep in mind that because there's still some moisture on the roads in little patches there, it may be slick in some spots in the morning hours. 5 degrees as our high for tomorrow afternoon with mainly sunny skies. We're in between 2 systems, so we don't have a lot to worry about for these next couple of days. All right, Midnight Friday is the absolute final deadline in the Hospital Home Lottery. This is your last chance to win the $3.3 million grand prize show home plus $100,000. Buy before midnight Friday at CalgaryHospitalHomeLottery.com.
Thanks, Danielle. The next time you drive past them, they'll be gone. Just ahead, the demolition of a couple of landmark buildings in 2 Calgary neighborhoods. And he can't work thanks to a cyst in his brain, but this medicine hat man is still waiting for the treatment he needs. Demolition work is underway at 2 Calgary landmarks. Heavy equipment is knocking down the Ogden Legion building. The center used to be a popular gathering place for the community, but has been empty for more than a decade and was the site of a fire last month. In 2023, the city issued a demolition order. There's no indication yet from the owner what development may occur there. And demolition is underway at the building that once housed Julio's Barrio on Memorial Drive and 10th Street Northwest to make way for a luxury condo development. The popular Mexican restaurant closed in 2019.
Oh, that was the first restaurant I ever ate in when I moved to Calgary.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And now it's history.
Now it's history.
I think we could do with some Mexican cuisine right
Yeah.
now, just to warm things up, right?
Yeah, especially that mole sauce.
Love the mole sauce.
Some heat, some sweetness, all of that. Okay. We will need that even more so, and some stews and stuff like that. Next week, it will feel a lot more wintry. Temperatures are on the decline here, but not for the next few days. Right now, we are sitting above freezing, so that's some news. 3 degrees is the temperature at the moment. We did get to 6 degrees today, so a little warmer than yesterday, a little drier than yesterday as well. 0 is the temperature at the moment in Lethbridge, -1 in Brooks, 2 in Medicine Hat. So basically overall around that freezing mark in southern Alberta. It was a little windy today. Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Brooks, closer to 40 kilometers per hour. That was out of the northwest, though. We're going to get the winds pick up out of the west, so Chinook set up. Mainly for the far south, though, for tomorrow. They're going to get, many communities will get into the double digits tomorrow. We won't be that much warmer in Calgary for tomorrow because we're not going to get those strong winds. We shouldn't. It should be just south of us. I'll show you temperatures in a moment. Right now, we're in between 2 systems. This is the one that we dealt with already that brought us the snowfall in the city. We're getting a break right now. And then this next one, the mountains should hold that moisture off onto the BC side. So we'll get some clouds peek over here and there. And we'll also get the wind at times, especially in the far south. We may get a little bit of the wind in Calgary over these next few days as well. It will be windy at times. We'll knock up the temperatures a little bit as well when we get those winds out of the west. So it will give us that westerly setup. I'm only going to freeze it here because Friday morning is, if you're traveling up the QE2, Red Deer and north, there is the potential for some freezing rain between 7 and 9 a.m. Outside of that, in Calgary and south, we are just looking at cloudy periods at times and a little windy at times as well. And then late Saturday, we'll get some snowfall arriving into the Banff area, well, high elevations, not Banff town site. And then that arrives in Calgary later this week. So 5 degrees for tomorrow. Fog patches likely developing in some spots overnight tonight. And tomorrow morning with the wind chill when off to work and school, it will feel more like -8. We should have mainly sunny skies with some cloudy periods at times. And that's really the story for the next few days. Quiet weather. Friday will be quite toasty at 9 degrees, down to 6, just like what we had today on Saturday. Sunday Sunday, a warm front will push in. It's the beginning of a system. So first wave is the warm front on Sunday, so we'll get to at least 7 degrees. But then the snow arrives Sunday night. We're looking at 1 to 3 centimeters, so much like this past system that we had, maybe even a little more snowfall, and that will carry into Monday. The key thing, though, is that when this opens the gate for cooler air behind it, that cooler air is here to stay, and it's cooler than what we've had from these past few systems. Mother Nature has certainly been easing us into winter conditions, so here we go. For next week, much of next week, as you can see, daytime highs will be below freezing. All right, Midnight Friday as the absolute final deadline, then the Hospital Home Lottery. Now, this is your last chance to win the $3.3 million grand prize show home plus $100,000. Buy before midnight Friday at CalgaryHospitalHomeLottery.com.
A radio host in Medicine Hat says a growth on his brain is stealing his voice, and he can't get a neurosurgery appointment for months. Now he's taken his story public, hoping someone in government will step in. Kim Johnston spent 30 years on air until a collapse in his speech made it impossible to keep working. An MRI found an arachnoid cyst pressing on a nerve that controls his jaw and voice. He says his condition is getting worse every week, but his first neurosurgical assessment isn't until late January. Now he's turned to social media, hoping public pressure will speed up his care.
It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The longer this condition is allowed to go unchecked, the greater risk of permanent damage. And I feel that it is very possible that that damage may be well underway.
CTV reached out to Alberta Health and Alberta Urgent Care for comment, but so far we have not received a response. It's the role he feels he was born to play. Still ahead, the star of MJ, the musical on duplicating those iconic dance moves. Alberta's economic leaders say Calgary has a strong forecast for 2026, despite high unemployment and a skill mismatch within the labor market. It's part of the Outlook hosted by Calgary Economic Development. Speakers say migration isn't slowing down and the population is expected to grow by more than 2%. Yet, Calgary's unemployment is expected to remain at about 7%, 1% higher than the national average. Economists say the city needs to see growth in the resource sector and other areas like the tech sector.
I mean, Calgary's population alone grew over 100,000 people in 2024. So, and some of the people are coming not necessarily with a job, they're coming maybe for affordability reasons or to pursue job opportunities that they don't have. So you're going to have a bit of a skills mismatch in the labor market, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
He adds uncertainty is also part of the new normal for Calgary businesses with the on and off threat of tariffs from Donald Trump. The Auditor General has released a new report on the province's private contract with Dynalife. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. The report reveals multiple issues with the deal that cost taxpayers more than $100 million. The Auditor General says the province failed to meet service standards during the contract. Coming up at 6, we'll have more on the flaws that he flagged. Also ahead, closing the gap to getting women in trades. We'll have more on a partnership opening doors for girls who are seeking a future in the industry. Ian.
Thanks, Tara. Those moves, that voice, those songs. Jordan Marcus takes on the role of Michael Jackson in MJ the Musical, which opened at the Jubilee Auditorium in Calgary last night. And with me is Jordan Marcus. Welcome to Calgary.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Now, in the 1980s, Michael Jackson had hit after hit after hit. What's it like to bring all those great songs to life?
Honestly, it's just as fun as it looks. I mean, it is such a surreal experience being able to not only be in a show that has such impactful art, but to be able to portray my musical hero on stage every night is just, it's a dream come true.
Do you think in a way you were born to do this, in that you did Michael Jackson's moves when you were a kid? I understand you dressed up as Michael Jackson for Halloween?
I was MJ for Halloween, I want to say, for about 5 years straight when I was a child. I loved and still love Michael Jackson's music. I mean, it was such a catalyst for my love of music in general as a child. And yeah, I mean, it stuck with me throughout my life. And I think in a way, it was sort of a foreshadowing thing for me to like latch on to him so heavily as a kid. So yeah, it paid off. It definitely did.
It sure did. And the show is heavily dance-oriented.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand you guys worked with Michael Jackson's choreographer. Tell us about that process.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Rich and Tone Talluega, who were some of Michael's backup dancers for his tours, and they choreographed the You Rock My World video. And, you know, they're very well-renowned choreographers in their own right outside of Michael. But, yeah, they came in to whip us into shape. When we had rehearsals back a couple years ago, and even now they still come visit us to make sure we're getting the details right. It was really detail-oriented work.
To see my extended interview with Jordan Marcus, visit ctvnews.ca/Calgary. In the short term, we'll have some warmer temperatures tomorrow, but in the long term, some substantially more wintry conditions by the early of next week. Danielle has details coming up. It's going to get more wintry, more winter-like conditions.
Yes.
That's a better way of saying it.
Is that how you prefer to say it? You didn't like how you said it last time. You're too hard on yourself.
We do know that the air conditioning is working above you.
Yes,
it seems
it's freezing.
like badly timed.
And there's also no way to say it in a way that a lot of people are going to really like what you're saying. Let's be honest. I mean, some people like the cold, but I would say the majority of people that write in would prefer some heat, and we did get it. We've been babied by Mother Nature, really, for all of fall. We've had a fall, let's put it that way. 6 was the high today. We're currently at 3 degrees, and it's quiet weather for the next 3 days. Mild temperatures, well above normal. Normal is +1, but with the wind chill tomorrow morning, it will feel more like -8. Ian.
Thank you, Danielle. Students at a Diamond Valley High School are swapping pencils for plants to work on their vertical farm. Oil Fields High School students are able to earn credits learning about sustainable agriculture, business management, and environmental stewardship. This vertical farm has the ability to grow vegetables, and that includes microgreens and herbs year-round. Not only do students learn how to grow the produce, but also they learn the business side, meeting with clients, marketing the products while ensuring profitability. All revenue earned goes back toward the vertical farm. What a wonderful idea. Thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.